Michael Phillips in the polka dot jersey of the Mountains competition. We've got Stepan Bedina in the under 23 or youth competition, and Taylor Gonsolin, he's the rider in the Masters competition holding the 50 plus competition jersey, and they are the leaders at the end of stage one. Will Gomez still be holding 2 jerseys on his way through, will the rest be holding 1? When we get to the end of today's stage, it's going to be really interesting, and it is very, very close in terms of points in most of the competitions, and still lots of scoring opportunities. A quick reminder that today the riders in category 3 will have 5 point scoring competitions in point scoring opportunities in the sprints and 2 runs up the mountain. So just getting the results in for stage sprints there before we have a quick look back at the map. Now, this is the route that our riders will be heading out and around the Wollongong city, making the way in and through. It's going to be 70k for our category 3, and more sprints and more mountains over category 4 today. The only difference in our categories today, and you can see from that course, it's 2 circuits that we use. The essential thing to look at: 2 mountain climbs of Mount Pleasant, the Wollongong climb. They are 2.4k long with an average gradient of 4.5%, but very, very steep. They are 17 and 18% kickers on the way through. We have 5 sprints, so that means that we are going to do 1 lap, which includes a sprint and the climb. We're then going to go do city sprints, so we're going to go through the sprint line essentially 4 more times. We're then going to make our way back onto the mountain, and one of the key numbers for me, it is only 4.1k from the top of the climb on our second ascent to the finish. 4.1k from the end of the Wollongong climb, from the top of Mount Pleasant for the second time to the finish. So the action on that climb at the end could well be decisive when we come out of the other side. So that's where our category 3 riders are heading. Let's make sure that our riders get away nice and safely from the start line and on to the course. As we've seen, the start of this course really, really critical. It's the same for all categories. The flat run and that first bump that they hit will be the first opportunity where we get to see what they're up to in terms of who's feeling strong today. So category 3 lined up and ready to go. 70k of riding. We have a total ascent of 815 meters. And to give you an indication, each time that we go up the Wollongong climb, we do 108 meters. Now, that's 216 meters of the 815 meters of climb. So that means basically there are 599 meters of climbing on the rest of the course. And that is telling, because there is very little chance to recover. This is a course that will suit somebody who is a great rouleur, who has got good souplesse, who has the ability to change their power output to suit the course and to suit the rest of the riders around them. And that is going to be really, really key, having ridden around this on MyWhoosh. And if you haven't done so, please do make sure that you download the app. It's available on iOS, it's on Android, it's also on Windows. Grab the app, jump on board and have a ride. It really does put into perspective just how quick every single rider across all 4 categories are. So here on the MyWhoosh Championships, our category 3 riders getting ready to move away from the start. Stage 2 of 7 about to get underway. This starts critical, and you can see the riders are winding this up already. The watts are coming, and away go our riders, because this is the start of stage 2. 70 kilometers. Over 800 meters of ascent. Who's going to come out in the top spot? Who will be wearing our yellow jersey, our polka dot jersey, our green jersey, our Masters jersey, and our youth jersey when we come to the end of stage 2? Who will be taking them on to stage 3? Well, time to find out for our category 3 riders. Already out from the pens as one big group at the moment, and you can see it's our under-23 leader, and that's Stepan Habin in there, looking very strong. Montoya goes over the top very quickly, then backs up. Now, one of the things our riders really have to get used to when you ride on esports, when you're riding outdoors, if you're a regular road rider, and that's my background, that was what I competed in the most, I'd know exactly how much effort would be on there. When I went to the track and we were riding something like a team pursuit, had to really get the practice right to come off the front to drop back in smoothly. On esports, it's exactly the same. Here on MyWhoosh, you've got to know how much effort to go past the rider and through the group or hold position, and how much effort to get back on, how long to ease back off, how long to push on to get back into position. Really key for our riders. So just seeing Michael Phillips on the left of our screen, holder of the polka dot jersey, is on the right hand side. You can see the climb of Mount Pleasant is underway. In fact, our riders in category 4 have already ascended and descended the first step of that peaked climb. They're now on the way into towards the second stage of the climb, and at the moment that group is well and truly fractured across the road, and this could be very, very telling for the riders as they go through, because if you see the riders on the way in here, they are on to the climb, and this will be absolutely critical for the riders, because it could well be the decisive moment, particularly for the riders in category 4 who are sending it once. So you can see all 4 categories, 2 of them underway. The riders in category 3 about to hit the first of the key moments for them, and this is going up on to the climb. So here we go, coming up, Camel Canth pushing on here, Ephraim Mamba just in front, who's opened a little bit of a gap there just in front of the riders. This group stretching out now, top right hand side of the screen, and you can see that the gaps have opened up. It certainly looks like Ephraim Mamba is the rider who's opened that gap. He's pushed on there. Now he's got to make a decision. How hard does he go? He's continuing to go at over 3.5 watts per kilo. He's on the left of your screen. So in category 3, the gaps are opening. As we go up towards the top of the climb, you can see that our category 4 riders are about to go over the top of the climb. This is their opportunity to put some point scores in, and this is where our category 4 riders can decide who is going to be taking away the polka dot jersey at the end of the day. They're going to be pushing. Remember, as we came into this climb, it was very, very close as it came through. 2 points separating the riders that came over the top. So Suarez comes over in first place. Then it is Quadrelli, followed then by Carvajal, and he's going to score 3 points. We've got Ospina taking 2 points, and then we have Kenup taking the 1 point. Suarez, the fastest rider, up and over the top. Now, in terms of riders who are right in there, it was Pleasure who is leading in the KOM, not scoring any points that time around, so he will remain on 11 points. However, the first of the riders to score really big and to move up, Suarez, was in third place. He was on 5 points. He scored 3, so he's not going to overtake the man at the top of the standings. Sorry, that is Quadrelli, but Quadrelli scored 2 second place. That's 4 points. He's going to still be in the lead. So I think at the end of that, it's the status quo retained. So Quadrelli takes second place on the climb. That gives him 4 points. That's going to mean his points total is going to be 15 points. So he should be retaining the lead, and looks to me like he's going to go through. Primero not scoring points on the way through. In second place overall coming into this stage. So going to be really interesting. I suspect it's going to be very close behind our first place rider, Pleasure. Our sprint leader coming into the competition, not holding the sprint jersey after sprint 1, but he's now got to look at what is he going to do. Is he looking for the overall? Is he looking to contest the sprints? What does he want to take away from this stage, and what will that do in terms of the rest of this race? The championships run over 7 stages. Pledger now going to be doing some serious thinking on that bike. Is he going to try and go for the sprints? Is he going to try and get into the group? The group in front of Pledger just down the road. They're not all that far. Now, taking a look across at the rest of the categories. 1 still have plenty of time left to go, as do 2. 3 are underway, 4 also, and separated with a big mountain in between categories 3 and 4. Category 3 are on their way in to the sprint. 6.2k is the distance for the first sprint start. And that is from race start. So category 3 on the way towards the sprint. Still 13 minutes for category 2, 33 minutes for category 1 before their start times. Category 4, of course, over the top of Mount Pleasant already and well into that descent. So just a quick reminder for you, the race underway here with 2 categories racing in categories 2 and 1 waiting, category 3 and 4 underway. The women's race looks like the coverage just wrapping up at the moment, and make sure that you go and head over. So at the end of this race, dive over, have a watch. Lots of great racing across 8 days, 7 days competition. There's a chance to catch up in the middle if you manage not to watch all of it on the way through. We've got a lot of TV watching for us, catching up, because, of course, Emma and I covered all of the women's and men's competition, and Emma finishing and wrapping the women's race up whilst I start the first of our categories in the men's competition. And the women's racing was really, really exciting. This course really does provoke some aggressive riding and racing, and Camel Canth now putting a big kick up on the front, looking to break this group up. The Canth has just gone off at 4.5 watts per kilo, and looking down in this group, we're just looking at Gonsolin, who is the Masters leader. Carl at the back in the white jersey here. It just looks to me like these riders are not really choosing to respond. They are just picking up the pace. Canth charged to the front, not enough to take him clear and stay clear. The group using the draft and pushing on here. So lots of great racing. Make sure you give it a watch. Don't forget, of course, that you can catch up on social media as well, and make sure you get in and search the tags that we would love you to put in. If you put in at MyWhoosh, that is on Instagram, on Facebook. It's at MyWhoosh on Twitter, and then you can catch up, of course, with me. It's at MattFixerPaint, and that is across all of social media, and at Biking Emma for Emma, who will be joining us in the studio in a little while, probably about 15 minutes or so before Emma is in, probably between category 1 and 2 starts, I would imagine. But that is just a guesstimate. It just depends on how long it takes to get from studio 2 to studio 1, and just how many coffee she's going to have on the way through. So the expectation is that Emma will be in with us, and in somewhere between categories 2 and 1 after wrapping up the women's race. Make sure you subscribe on the YouTube channel. Don't forget, of course, on the men's race, if you want to get it in glorious Technicolor, as they used to say, in full uncompressed version, then Twitch TV / MyWhoosh Live, Twitch TV / MyWhoosh Live, and you can get the men's race on Twitch TV, which comes to you in some fantastic technical and some great graphics on there as well. It really does show off the worlds here, and Australia was really rich. There was a upgrade on the way through, and in fact, having been on the commentary for the well over a year now with MyWhoosh, I have to say the speed of improvement, the speed of drive from MyWhoosh, absolutely astounding, because we are seeing improvement and progression. Yes, that means quite a lot of updates on the way through, but do you know what updates mean? It means faster games, it means greater graphics, it means lots more features. And one of those features, our riders can actually talk in game. It's on the microphone, so if our riders want to, they can click the microphone on button and get themselves chatting with the riders around you. So if you're on a social ride, that's great. Not so sure I'd want everybody hearing my race tactics, and as I was shouting at the riders on the way through. Now, category 3 rolling their way in, and are going to hit the 6.2k marker. This is the beach sprint, City Beach sprint number 1 for them. Here we go. Who is going to go for this? Remember, this is about the fastest time through the segment, and look at the rush in the bunch there. Leading in was not the place to set the fastest time. You came in first, you might not come out first. If you come in at the back, you can only improve, and you're able to use the draft. We're up at over 50 kilometers an hour with the faster riders, and just dropping as they come into the steeper climb up. This sprint is a curving sprint. It is a convex slope as you go in, and then a concave one as you come out. So basically you dip into it and it goes over the top. Carl Tysalius taking the fastest time there. So Tysalius with the win in sprint 1 from Luca Barker. Then it's going to be Marin, Gonsolin and Quadrelli. Really interesting result in category 3. So Tysalius, who was riding strongly, looks like he's added 3 points. He's going to be on 16. for these riders that go out and round. So they're going to go take that right-hand turn. Category 1 on the start line. Category 2 heading around the bend, going up onto the first descent. We've got Category 3 about to hit the king of the mountains and about to make their way up over the top. So Category 3 about to hit Wollongong climb for the first time. Category 4 going through the sprint at 22.7. Sorry, Category 4 22.76. So that means that this is their second sprint of the day. So sprint number 2 for Category 4. Who is going to take this out? Who's going to lead this in as they came through last time around? A quick reminder that Suarez took it from Quadrelli, from Carahal, from Ospina, then Kenup. Who's it going to be this time around? Remember, it's fastest time through. So this is about adding those points to the total. Remember, there is a prize every day for the sprint winner on that stage. We then will have an overall winner at the end of all 7 stages and an even bigger prize for them. So who scored the points? Here we go. Wow, look at that. Timing is everything. Second time through the City Beach Sprint, it is Michael Suarez ahead of Cristiano Kenup, with Carvajal, Quadrelli and Pleasure this time coming in and through. So Pleasure this time scoring some points. He was our sprint leader. He's now added a point to his total. That is going to help him along the way. But Suarez showing that he means business today. And could well be taking away that sprint prize for the day in category number 4. So riders in each category having their own points and their own allocation of the prize money. And I would imagine a little bit later on during the show, if we do get a chance, we'll try and give you a summary of the prizes for each of our category riders. But not always possible to squeeze everything on every show because there is just so much action. And with having 4 categories, it makes a huge difference to our riders. So category 4 on the right of your screen, category 3 on the left of your screen. Jack Staples with Arago at the moment at the front of a smaller leading group. You can just see the yellow jersey on the road just coming up into contention. So here we go, category 2 coming up to 3.1 kilometers. As you can see, we've got a run up towards the sprint point. This key start of the aggression, but the climb out clearly not reducing this group down too much. And at the moment, the riders continuing to push on the way through, looking really good at the moment as they come around this turn. You just see with the odd rider just pushing through into the group, just not wanting to lose contention. And the power starts to go down, going up over the top of the rise. Very easy to get caught out, to be the wrong side of a split. And if that occurs, then you've got a lot of work to get back in. You've really got to push, and that nervousness of not being dropped can really ramp the pace up in the group. All of the group going over together, and it was Drama just going flying through there, even at the back, just pushing his way up towards the front. So category 4 well on the way around. Remember, category 4 on 50k today, they've already covered 24.9, so they're approaching half race distance. A couple of leaders off the front, but nothing decisive sticking in category 4. So category 4 half race distance. Category 3, well, they are at the moment approaching 15 kilometers of racing. They are at 14.9, and that means that as they make their way in and through, they are between the mountain and the next of our sprints. And you can see that by where they are on the terrain, just on that descent down at the moment. So just making the way down off from the climb, going heading back towards the start and then back into town. So the riders looking really good. In fact, category 3 taking the left-hand turn. So we've come down the descent. category 3 on the left of your screen, making the turn. Now, this is a little bit of a kicker that they're on. That could well break them later on in the race. It's steep on the inside of the turn. Category 2, they're a little bit further out and round the start, but not yet reaching the real steep slopes. Category 4, well and truly broken up here though, so looks like Quadrelli at the moment in the lead, but the rest of that group of top 10 riders very, very close indeed, taking that right-hand turn at the moment. So certainly it looks to me like the group, you see that chasing pack are going to pull back and a little bit of an attack there, a little bit of pressure that have been put on. So after the ascent of the mountain coming down through the second sprint, this group has come together and got themselves back in. And remember, this group now will be heading out and round. So the next sprint number 3 for these riders will come at 32 kilometers. At the moment, looks like Theb are just off the back. So 11 riders in the leading group of category 4. So category 4 at the moment, 11 riders in there. Martinez just at the back of that group. Suarez just holding the station in there. Jump back to category 2. Category 2 at the moment, still a much bigger group. I think pretty much all 42 of our riders in that pack. Looking very, very good indeed. And certainly looks much more like they are closer together. So just riding in with Hassan Aramethi taking the turn here. Hassan's heart rate 163, 122 rest minute, really high cadence there, just spinning away and looking really good. Just I suspect a change of gradient and a change of gear as he drops down. We're just easing off on the pedals just to not go too far to the front of that group, but sits at a really high pedal cadence, really smooth. Always a sign of a rider who's well and truly riding within themselves. So let's take a look at category number 1. The category number 1, the Belgian Waffles squad. Martin Martins, Lanover, Justin Kaminski, Van Elsen, and Eekhout. A really good, strong squad in there. The Belgian squads are riders all capable of scoring points. Sticky Bun Club, well, they had some of the riders of the day. And the Sticky Bun squad placing the riders right up there on the way through. And Ross Fawcett, of course, on his birthday, working well in the sprint competition. In the Italian Gelato, well, they are the team that are currently in second place, ahead of the Belgian Waffles, who are in third. And the riders 0.1 seconds separating the Gelato squad from the Belgian Waffles squad between second and third. Really, really tight in that competition. Beast Mode pudding by Mode squad had a good day yesterday. They'll be looking to improve today. Phil Graves on the attack regularly. We saw David Dan right up in the mix along with Tim Cutler and Simon Walter. We do expect them to come into their own when we get closer to the mountains. Now, Hexagon 1. They had great rides coming from Hoyas and Panizza. Juan Hoyas, one of our real strong sprinters on the way through the sprint. He's in top spot in that sprint competition. 22 points for Juan Hoyos in category 1 in that sprint competition as we came to S. So that is a very good result for him so far. They got first and fourth at the moment. And then the UAE clan team, the team that are heading our standings at the moment. Now 23 seconds clear. And most of those 23 seconds came due to the impressive lead of Michael Vink. Vink had soloed to victory. He is our race winner of the stage. Now, stage winner on stage 1. He was clear of everybody else. The UAE clan team have some big scores. And Mr. X100, in fact, scoring fourth in the race finish, third in the sprints, and second, scored 3 points in the sprints and 2 in the King of the Mountains as well. So strong across the categories. but your wearers of the jersey today in Category 1. Let's get your yellow jersey first. Well, no surprise, Michael Vink after that to win in yellow as our overall race leader. Our sprint leader in the green is Juan Hoyos, and remember, he will have 5 opportunities to increase that point score. Said Safrazad taking the mountains competition, and Said Safrazad will be looking again to score on the steep slopes that he knows well in Wollongong. Mr. X100 leading the Masters competition for those riders in the 50 plus competition, and Mr. X100 absolutely flying yesterday, as we said, scoring points in the sprint and the king of the mountains. So some cracking riding, and those are the riders that you're going to see on your screens in the yellow, green, white with the polka dots and the light blue jersey. No under 23 rider qualifying in the competition as they go through. So we'll see if we are going to see changes in of the jerseys. Michael Vink setting his stall out. Is he looking to take away a yellow jersey in every stage, wearing it all the way from start to finish? It's certainly possible. Well, let's take a look at what our riders face on the course, because we are going to be heading into Australia. The amazing world, the fantastic graphics on this site of the World Championships. That here we are heading out and around the circuit. Now, this is made up of 2 areas. You can see the first of the loop. This is our sprint loop. That's the area that we use regularly for the sprint circuit. So between the 2 mountains, the mountain, the top right-hand side there, and you can see the end point just before we come into the start. 70 kilometers, 815 meters, and 2 ascents of Mount Pleasant, which is our Wollongong climb. And they come at 9.8k and at 63.9. So from the start line, the ascent up into town, the first of the bumps that you can see in the yellow course profile. The first of our segments is a sprint segment, the first time through the city sprint. And that will take us in from 6.1k. It's a very short run then of 3.3k between the sprint into the climb. We have our 2.4k climb. That comes between just less than 10k and just less than 12 kilometers covered. We then go and do our laps around the city. This gives us our city sprint regular loop. In between each of those sprints, 9.1 kilometers. So that is 9.1k either to attack the sprinters if you want to drop them, or to recover if you're a sprinter and wanting to put your effort into getting those sprint points, which of course translate into prize money if you are a winner in the stage or if you are the winner overall. Now, the riders lined up on the start line. You can see Christoph theme down here on the start, just sat on the turbo, no pedal revs, no power going out. So just sitting there, keeping calm, heart rate at 115, 114 beats per minute at the moment. And as you can see, just not going anywhere fast. So gonna not be stressing too much. Very calm now. In fact, that heart rate is dropping. It was down to 97 then. Down to 101, 102. So keeping calm, not putting too much down too early. What you got to be careful, of course, is that if your heart rate isn't high enough, that start is so hard that it makes life very, very difficult to move away from the start line and to go at the pace that is being put down. And our Category 1 riders, Michael Vink taking the win. And we know Michael Vink, of course, a world tour level rider for the UAE team. So at the moment, Theme sat just resting, looking good as he waits for the start line. Now, the competitions are very, very close for Category 1 sprints and the mountains. But if we take a look across, they're already unfolding in Categories 2, 3, and 4. So a very quick recap. Category 4 already at 30 kilometers, Category 3 at 20 kilometers, Category 2 at 10 kilometers, and Category 1 now at 3.5 minutes to race start. Category 2 with Hassan Al-Remethri are looking good at the moment on this climb. They are making their way at the first part of the climb. So at 10k, they are into the first ascent of the Wollongong climb. That is Mount Pleasant. This is a two-stage climb. They're going to be well on this climb. Moving up on category 2, up on the climb. A category 1 riders are looking like they're all getting ready for that race start now. Let's take a quick look whilst we get the chance. We're with category 2. They are pushing on here. Now we can see the sprint of result there. Oliver Simmons taking the first city sprint, and then from Moreno, from Pacheco, followed by Diduch. So that is the standings on the sprint after the first sprint. But this section up this climb really important because anybody who worked too hard in that sprint is then going to be fighting for position and really fighting to stay up with the riders coming down on the descent here. So in with Giuliano, he's going to take plenty of speed. He's in the middle of this pack, and you can see he's rolling up towards the front. He's using that draft to roll in, getting the timing right, really critical for this left turn and on to part 2 of the climb. So up on to the climb they go. They're now going to hit part 2. This will take them some while. Let's see how they are rolling when we go up on to the climb. We've got our solo leader. This is Parisi. He went on to the climb first, but look at the gap. 5 seconds at the moment. It's not huge. And that big pack of riders have the hair in their sights. The hounds behind going to be chasing, trying to hunt their quarry down as he makes his way up. And you can see top right-hand side of the screen, we have 16% up on the top of the screen. So that is going to be very, very tough stuff for the riders. So Parisi leading them out, going up over the top here and looking good as he goes over. It's going to ease in a second, and he will be on to the slightly smoother slopes that come. And by smoother, it's about 7%. Now, category 1 down into our last minute to race start. So category 2 onto the climb for the first time, and category 1 will know what they've got in front. They'll have watched what the riders are doing. I'm sure they're watching live like you are on either our YouTube or on the Twitch channel, Twitch TV /MyWhoosh live. If you're watching on catch up, great to have you with us. So you maybe been watching our women's race, and Emma will be with us. Join us after the start of the men's race for category 1 riders. So our riders lined up. It looks like Michael Vink in there, just starting to wind his pace up. He's actually pushing, just seen him pushing 3 watts per kilo there, just really making sure that his legs are all ready to go. Christoph Thiem here, just ticking along. Now we saw Christoph's heart rate drop down to about 79 beats per minute. Sat on the start line, that's good going. Mine was usually through the roof with nerves, but clearly a cool, calm customer here as we get ready to set away category 1. So here on the MyWhoosh Championships, category 1 about to start, stage 2 of 7, and away you go on riders. This is the moment where we see who's recovered from day 1, who is ready for day 2, for the 70 kilometers, for 815 meters of climbing, 2 ascents of the brutally steep Mount Pleasant. 5 sprints on the way through as well. We're in with our Masters leader, Mr. X100, who leads us out from the gun. So the riders away here in the championship, our final category, hitting the roads of Wollongong in Australia. And this starts seeing the entire pack making its way out from the start line. 30 starts today. And as you can see, Mr. X100 sitting in the middle of the group. Here on the men's race, if you see the bar on the right-hand side, you can see that the position of the rider in their category showing on the top right-hand side of that big bar there. So whether our rider is in number 1, number 21, or 31, or 101, depending on the size of that pack. And these are riders continuing to push away from that long straight into the first of our long left-hand turns. So category 1 are away. They're going to make their way around this turn, and our first expected point of attack is on the first bump. It's the rise from the seashore up over the cliffs and into the city, and that is where we expect that first kick to come. And of course, because this is a very hilly race, remember, there are 599 meters of ascent on the rest of the course, not including the mountains. There is 108 on the climb. Sorry, 116 on the climb. So 108 per lap on each climb. So 216 coming in the climb on the way up. Now on the descent, you can see that our Category 2 riders are descending down from Mount Pleasant. They're nearly near the base of Mount Pleasant at the moment. And it looks like Parisi still holding the lead at the moment. He is still got a tenuous lead, but he went over the top. I think he's holding about 16 seconds on Primero here. Then we've got East behind, followed by Duque, but a Category 1 chasing away here. They are looking really strong and very fast up here. This is pretty brutal stuff because we hit 7% on this climb, as you can see, pretty quickly, and it goes to 8% before we hit the top 8.2, 8.9, ticking on 9.3, and at the moment, all of this group able to stay with the pace, not losing any riders. Now, in some of our earlier countries, we saw the riders being distance coming over the top. This is our Category 1. These are the cream of the crop, the best of the best. And at the moment, looks like everybody's tight in there. Saeed Safrazad in the polka dot jersey as our King of the Mountains leader coming in. He scored that yesterday. He's at the score there. He's going to have 2 opportunities to increase his point score today, a maximum of 10 points on offer. Will he be able to add to that? So our riders, the group are moving very fast over that section. This group all together, this downhill on the far side, 8% downhill. It really is an almost equal ascent and descent as you come up over this run into town, and that is why it's so critical to stay in the group. You can just see a little bit of a stretch coming on the pack here in Category 1. So Category 1 at 2.4k, they will be making the way around. Remember, the first of our sprints coming at 6.2 kilometers. So our riders on the way on to the climb here, making the way around in Category 1. There's not going to be far before they get there, but they've got to contest the sprint on the way through. Just keeping an eye on the action. Joining me in the studio from the women's race, I'm joined here by the one and only, it is Emma Martin, or Professor Emma Martin, DS, Director Sportive. Also, of course, going to be a regular rider and a racer. And great to have you with us, Emma. Don't give us any spoilers. The women's race, should we watch it?
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. 100%. I can't imagine why you wouldn't, to be really honest. The racing was fast and furious and really exciting. So, absolutely one to watch. Finish the men's race, get a cup of coffee, and hit the women's start and sit back and enjoy.
I'm sure we will all be doing that at the end of this race. I know I, for one, can't wait to catch up with what has happened in there. When we left it, it was absolutely going. It was all going off, and I'm sure that only continued on the way in. So, for the benefit of Emma and anybody who's just joined us directly from the women's race, all 4 race categories underway. Category 4 started first, right the way through to Category 1. We've seen attacks, as you would expect, on the Wollongong course, and we've seen some really aggressive riding. The first sprint contested not necessarily by all of the people we would expect. We've seen 1 or 2 of the riders maybe just taking it a little bit easier because they know that it's only 3.3k from sprint 1 into the climb. So at the moment, you can see all four categories on the screen. We have the screen at the moment. We're watching Ross Fawcett. Happy birthday for yesterday. I know we said it yesterday, but can you ever be wished happy birthday too much in with this group? But at the moment, it's SS who's leading them up here with Michael Vink. This long drag. We've seen this, Emma, before, haven't we? That it's not necessarily the categorized climbs that do the damage. This is the long drag at 4.3k, and this actually takes a lot of the sting out of people's legs on the way into that sprint.
Yeah, it does indeed. And not as much as an important part of the men's race as it was part of the women's race, because of course that was the drag, the drop, and then the kick to the finish in the women's race. The finish in the men's race is different to the women's race, so we will be seeing a different finish today. That would be the one where it comes down off of Mount Pleasant.
Indeed, that run down is going to be critical. 4.1k from the summit top to the finish line. For me, I think the battle should be decided on the way up, but I'm really
Well,
interested to see the chase on the way down.
well, we always say, don't we, that it's the pinnacle of Mount Pleasant that is the absolutely crucial part to get right.
It is indeed often the crux, but you've got to be in it to win it at that stage. And you can see this group really working well together here. And basically, the entire bunch still together at 4.9k. Now hitting 5 kilometers into the stage. And Emma, this is a very fast sprint, but it's also a tricky sprint here today because of the rise in it. It's an uphill sprint, basically.
Yeah, it is indeed, and it is a tricky sprint, but one that the riders will race time and time again. 6 sprints in this men's course today, Matt, so they will be very used to the run into it by the finish.
I hope so.
It would be a real shame if they weren't.
So some riders, of course, are able to work out and have a almost photographic memory for courses and races and routes and where it climbs, where it descends. But we also have, of course, the riders for whom it's a new course every time.
Yes, you're not looking at me there, are you?
Not much.
No, I have an inability to memorize course laps, but it is, and but you know how you ride. You know what your strengths are. You know where your weaknesses are. You know exactly how to deal with them in a race, especially when you are a Category 1 rider. You know exactly what you're doing. You know what tactics work for you. You have a good awareness of what tactics other riders might be using, and you've got a game plan in your back pocket, or on your avatar or on the table beside you for esports, and you know what you are up to.
No, you say there on the side of the table. Me, I'd have the start them on my handlebar stem, proper old school, proper road racing tactic. Definitely. Now, here we go, coming into the sprint for the very first time. Who is going to take this out? Remember, this is all about being in top spot. To Juan Hoyos, the man who took the sprints, leading that competition with 22 points, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 sprint points available. Who's going to take this out? Remember, it's fastest time through now. From the back of the group to the front is usually the fastest way. This is a big pack, and you can see that pace is really picking up. 46 kph now as we start rolling down up to 50, 52 kilometers an hour. You can see there's a kick on the front, but it's about having that fastest time. You want to be using that draft. Zach Nair definitely using that on the way through. We're going to see who is going to have taken that out as we come in through the beach sprint, the City Beach Sprint number 1. Let's see who has a top spot. Well, look at that. At the moment, it's Juan Hoyos who's added to his total. So it's Hoyos in 1, Panizza in 2, Kaminsky in 3. Fawcett again scoring points on the way through. Remember, Ross Fawcett did the classic sprinters technique of focusing just on those sprints on stage number 1. And then it was Jakob Björklund coming in 5th place. Zach Nair, when we saw him putting in the pace, he was definitely putting the power down, 567 watts, 8.1 watts per kilo, but he doesn't score points, and that will be seen as a wasted opportunity by a rider as experienced as Zach.
Yeah, absolutely. So Nair just missing out there, but Bjorklund, Fawcett, Kaminsky, Panizza, and Hoyos picking up points in that first sprint of the day.
So sprint number 1 done. And Hoyos taking the top spot. Zach Nair, the rider we're focusing on, a rider who put a lot of effort in there and didn't get any points as a reward. So, going to be very interesting to see if he can continue to push here and maybe score points later. But this is, for me, a really key part of the course. Our riders will know that they need to be moving strongly here and continuing to push onwards because they're moving in towards the climb.
Yeah, so the pack's still moving and moving well, and that climb comes quite quickly after this first sprint. So the first sprint at 6.2 kilometers, the first climb at 9.8. There is not a huge transition between them up to the top of this climb. This is a short climb here, and then as you can see, it's a pretty flat run in till you step into the foothills of Mount Pleasant. You can see that on the top right-hand corner of your screen, that satellite navigation picture really showing that very clearly. Our group of riders at the moment are indeed that green arrow on the graphic. We will be moving through the slow rolling section the riders are on at the moment. They're just on this descent at the moment, and then they will transition into that flatland. And there you can see on the far right-hand side, that is the first ascent of Mount Pleasant coming up for our Category 1 racers.
And that Mount Pleasant, known as Mount Unpleasant in the studio. And definitely not the easiest place to go, but this run in, it does ease a little bit. It's almost just a time to grab a bit of breath. Personally, this would be my moment to attack because I wasn't going to be doing it on the climb. Do it on the run in and make those climbers work hard on the flat rather
Well,
than on the climb.
it's going to be interesting, I think, Matt, to see the tactics from Category 1 going into the final climb because, of course, there is a huge distance between the two ascents of Mount Pleasant today. This first ascent coming within the first 10 kilometres of the race, the last ascent coming within the final 10 kilometres of the race. And I think we're going to see two very different sets of tactics over those two climbs today. So we are in with Category 1, currently coming up to 9 kilometres under their wheels. Category 2, just over 20 kilometres. Category 3, 30.5k complete. Category 4, 40 kilometres into their race.
And remember, Category 4 have 10k to go because they're doing 50k today. Everybody else on 70 kilometers. Now we are in with the winner from yesterday, Michael Vink, and this course really did almost set the tone, didn't it? And the doing a Vink was really coined here because essentially it was a set way of riding to victory.
Yeah, absolutely. And there, I think, well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you look at the profile of this course, and we were talking about profiles yesterday, and that your assumptions when you look at a profile as to how the race may play out. You know, you could look at this and you could think, you know what, if we get over the first climb, whatever the group is at the front, they will ride as a group until the second climb, and then it's basically decided in the last 6k. However, we also learn it's very wrong to assume from looking at a course map that's how the race is going to play out. And I'm desperately trying not to give you any spoilers, but in the women's race, we saw that play out as well. So each of the different categories had a different finish.
Well, right, even more reason to go and watch that. Now, so we roll our way in. We are at 9.7k at the moment, and this means these riders know that they are making the way up on to the climb. Here comes the start of that climb banner, and the riders under the Wollongong climb banner. This is Mount Pleasant with Mr. X100. Now, Mr. X100, we know can time trial his way up a climb absolutely without a problem. But this is not a climb that suits his particular skill set, is it? Because he tends to be somebody who sits at a steadier pace. This is much harder, isn't it?
Well, you're right, Matt, because whilst the average gradient on this climb is 4.5%, it is nothing but average or not average. It's an exceptional climb. It is a climb where we have two component parts to it. And this first part, the climb that they're on at the moment, the tops gradient tops at around 9.5–10%. You can just see it at 9.8%. We then go over the top of this, we drop down, we drop into the valley between the two climbing sections, and then we move on to the main part of the Mount Pleasant climb in Wollongong City. And we see the gradient go up to and over 17%. Now, there is a real skill set for being able to ride a climb that is that steep, because we see that steepness come on and off. There are segments on the second part of Mount Pleasant that drop to 6%. Now, I say drop to 6%. It does give some respite for the riders, but it also means that those really steep gradients are not long and suit a more kicking style of rider, so a rider who can kick rest, kick rest, kick rest, and put out big power numbers. Now, X100, as we know, is a phenomenal time trialist, and we can see regularly him close down gaps to riders who have ridden off because of their higher power ability. But of course, never make an assumption, because you always get proved wrong.
No, well, let's hope so, because we want all our riders to put in the best performances here. Pablo Popovic, one rider who we know will ride this absolutely spot on. It is Popovic leading out as he went over the top, but look at the speed of the pack. It contains Mr. X100, who stayed in there. He rode at his pace and has got himself through there. Now, we have another steep kick. This is the steepest section at the base of this climb of part two, but then we level out slightly. The gradient will decrease, and Johan Noren really pushing on here. He went in carrying some pace and some momentum, but you can see to his right or left, you can just see the riders really starting to squeeze. Interestingly, Michael Vink, who is in the yellow skin suit, so that's the yellow shorts instead of the black shorts, as well as that yellow jersey, he is the race leader in the overall. However, he is also absolutely flying all of the competition because of that win. But I would imagine that he's going to want to score some points in the King of the Mountains. He scored 3 last time round. However, he's got the chance to score a further 10 today if he was to go clear. But Pim van Diemen here, pushing on the front, really has thrown the gauntlet down, hasn't he? And now we're starting to see a response.
Absolutely, because this is indeed about that King of the Mountains competition. Van Diemen scoring 3 points yesterday as well, the same as Vink. So points on the board, but not in the top 3 positions. So absolutely bringing it to the gang today and claiming intention out of the gun.
Indeed, I think this is a good move here by Van Diemen. He's continuing to push at 7.88 watts per kilo. He's opening a gap here. He's on 4 seconds at the moment, and this is a good move by Van Diemen. Is this where he starts to open the gap? The Gelato squad sitting in second place in the team competition as we came to air, only 0.1 of a second clear of
The
the
gaps
Belgian
are
Waffle squad.
tiny.
It's so small, isn't it? And that is going to be really, really interesting to see how that plays out. Pim van Diemen again scoring 3 points in the King of the Mountains so far, equal with Vink. If he takes the victory up here, this will push him ahead in that competition on the road.
Yeah, well, the question is the rest of the group going to sit and let him ride away? And that indeed is the banner in front. Now, the question is, he might be the first over the line, but will he be setting the fastest time? Vijacin has been the one pushing on from the pack behind and side Safrazad, because Safrazad's currently the leader in that polka dot jersey competition, still wants to get points in the competition, even if it's not 5 points for the win.
So the riders coming through, remember, this is about making sure that you have the fastest time. No points to being first over the line. It's about having the fast times. Now let's see how these riders go. We'll get those scores up as soon as we can. But whilst we're on the screens at the moment, you can see the gaps have opened. Now, here we go. It is Safrazad in 2 at the moment. So he has got a second place on his way through. We've then got Vijacin in 3, Mr. X100 in 4, and SS in 5. So the loser, again, almost first loser, Zach Nair. Zach, what are you doing, mate? Time to get
He's
a
working hard. That's what
is,
he's
but
doing.
he's not getting the result. He was, when we came through the sprint, he was in 6th place. First rider not to score points. He put a lot of effort and didn't get the result. But here you're bound to get a result, because if you're 6th fastest up that climb, you are going to be right.
It means
in
you're the
mix.
6th person over the top, and we talked about being over the top of this climb being an instrumental part in the race. it has regularly shown to be an instrumental part when we come to Wollongong City, because the gradient changes so fast. The descent can really establish gaps in the pack, and that is dangerous. But taking a look at these Category 1 men, it looks like we have a big group of riders all over the top and coming down the other side as a large group. I can see just one rider getting distance there in the back, or two riders actually in the top right hand corner of the screen. So we do have gaps formed in Category 1, but dropping into Category 4 and the Category 4 leaders is where we are now.
So this is the run for the line. We've got just over 5 kilometers left for our riders. So 10% of the race left, but the critical 10%, because remember the most important place to be at the front of the race is at that finishing line. And as they come through, you can see that our leaders have a gap of 28 seconds. So Cristiano Kennep, Enrico Quadrelli in there. We've also got Carlos Spina in the gang. As you can see, they are continuing to push here. The riders really are looking on opening up a gap. So Espina Hernandez in the group looking very good. And Juan Pablo Jimenez Carvajal also in the group. So Carvajal in the mix with the leaders. And we saw Kenneth working very, very strong. This is the chasing group, and this contains the yellow jersey. So the leader at the end of stage 1 at the moment is giving away 30 seconds. 30 seconds in the overall competition. This is very dangerous, and this could see a change. And no wonder we're seeing that yellow jersey doing a lot of work in the chasing group.
I would be if I was him, because I wouldn't want to put 30-second gap in on stage 2. I'd want to be up there and with this lead group of 4. But do you know what, Matt? They are working really well together through and off and keeping the pace high. And that chase group, I'm not sure they've got a lot of power left in their legs to make the catch.
I think that's a good description. And I think we've got to remember as well that we're now going to be approaching the end of stage 2. And this is when riders start to feel the effects. It's some people it will happen early, some people it will happen late, but we still have a number of hills on the way in. Really critical. This is the run in for the finish for Category 4, and it's going to include the same climb in and up. And you can just see the chase behind Primero again doing a turn on the front. Then it's Michael Suarez, Alex Pleasure, the man who was right up there in the sprints on stage when he was racing well throughout the course of today. However, this group have got to be so careful, because they could be ceding the top 4 places on the general classification overall. And it looks to me like all of a sudden we've got another kick coming. So is this a move by Hernandez to go clear here? So Carlos Hernandez absolutely pushing on speed. Hernandez really working hard here, but look at the response from Cristiano Kennep. He wasn't letting that go. We've still got a few K to the finish, but that was a big move there coming in, and it was answered. So asked and answered well and truly. And is he going to pay for this? I don't think he is. Kennep came through. Now I think there's a little bit of being careful going on here. Nobody wants to put too much power down too early. They know that they have 3.5 kilometers to go to the finish. Put too much in now, you're not going to have anything left at the sprint. And there are still, remember, it is 4 riders. There's a good draft to be had.
Well, they really are looking at each other, or as looking at each other as you can on an esports platform, because you can't see the white of someone's eyes, but you can be looking at what they're doing on the road.
And if they do too much looking at each other, the group behind are going to close down. Remember, these 4 riders are in a position where they could open up a decisive gap in the general classification. However, simultaneously, they will want to take away the stage win, because there's big money for that as well. So it really is now a matter of decide your priorities and decide them fast, or you are going to be in trouble. We're approaching 47K in Category 4. Remember, the Category 4 race today doing 50 kilometers in total. All of the categories doing 70K, which means that of the rest of the categories, it is only Category 3 who are over half race distance. So Category 4 will finish first, and then the rest of the categories will continue on for their 70K. and we will be following them, keeping our eyes on 4 screens simultaneously till we jump back in on the way through. And you can see as these riders come in, this is the chase. That gap is coming down. Oh, is it open back up again? It's yo-yoing about at the moment, so fluctuating with the speed. This is one of the things that the gap will show. The computer programs are trying to predict what that time gap is based on the speed of the riders traveling. And this is one of the big differences between esports and the screens that you might see for an in real life stage race. So that is based on time past the pass. So here we go. Our categories on the way in now. Category 4, great racing from these riders. And do you know what? This is going to be intriguing to see exactly what they do. Our category 4 riders are leading out at the moment. We have 4 category 4 leaders. They are clear, and it's still 35 seconds. Is this going to be a race winning move, Emma? Are they going to make this decisive? Can they put a gap in that could last to the end of the racing? We've got some big stages to come.
They've got 2.2 kilometres on stage 2 on the MyWhoosh Championships until they see the finish line. This group of 4 riders in the front of this category 4 race. The chase group now still over 20 seconds back, and the road is getting shorter for them to make a difference here and to catch that group in front. I think as long as that lead 4 are intent on finishing fast, they are going to see the finish line first.
They should do. Now, here we go. There's going to be lots more racing. Remember, it's not over till it's over. And that is at the end of 7 stages. Our category 4 riders racing for points, for prizes, for big prize money here on the MyWhoosh Championships. Your 4 leaders as they come in towards the end of 50k with a gap on the chasers. It's now at 20 seconds. Remember, there are more riders in that chasing group. They have the advantage of numbers, but have our front 4 got anything left in their legs? Surely they're going to want to push this in, and this is where those individual agendas are going to count, Emma.
Well, Primero has noticed, Matt, he's noticed the gap coming down, and he's noticed the fact that these 4 riders are all looking at each other. It's become a game of cat and mouse in this front 4, and the pace and the power has really backed off. Now, the chase group are the ones benefiting from this, and Primero has started to push on, but I still don't think they've got enough road to catch.
I don't think they're going to catch, but this for me is about minimising the time to the riders in front. Quadrelli has gone for this, though. So Quadrelli has started to open up the throttle, as you can see at the moment. He's got a little bit of a gap to the riders behind. There is a response. Bottom right-hand side of your screens, category 4 coming in to the finish, just approaching 1k to go. And as they come in, Quadrelli has the lead. We take a look back with our cameras. Has he gone too early, Emma? It's over 1k.
It's a long run for the line from Quadrelli, and he's absolutely stamped his authority on this lead group. He's gone early, and he's gone with over 1,000 metres to the checkered flag. He's kicking at 6 watts per kilo. My question is, can he hold this? And can he hold this for the next 900 metres?
Well, he's gone on the right point because he's gone up on the climb as we came in. He was leading those King of the Mountains. He clearly had a good power coming in at the start of stage 1. Now, this is the chase behind us. Spina really chasing hard. Behind him, you can see Kenup looking like he's not quite got the power there, or maybe he's just saving himself. It's 4 seconds now for Quadrelli. Can he make this his 700 meters to go for Kenup, chasing behind, but he's got ground to make up now. Here he goes. He's just gone over the top of there of running into 4th place. He's up into 3rd, but it is Enrico Quadrelli who is opening the throttles once again. He's gone on the climb, 6 watts per kilo.
Yeah, 6 watts per kilo, and he's pushing up the climb. He drops slightly on the descent, and then there's a right-hand bend, and he will not see the finish line until about 150 metres before he reaches it. So it's a late sight of the finish line, but Quadrelli is the rider pushing on. Ospina in 2, 4 seconds back. Kenup is coming fast behind Ospina, and Ospina and Kenup are really putting the power down now.
So this is about that run. Can Callahal do anything about it? I think he's distanced in 4th place. He's not going to make it. It's going to be a win in stage number 2. Enrico Quadrelli comes in. He pushes through the line. He's going to take away the stage win. He's going to take away the big prize of money. He goes into the yellow jersey on the road. The question will be, can he keep hold of it? Ospina comes through behind him. He's going to take the yellow. He was clearly in a better position overall. Kenneth through, and it looks like Cavajal going through. The leader on the road is Ospina. He gets that yellow jersey. We're going to have to wait to see what happens. Where will the chasing group come to? Will they take it away? Make sure you go on to www.mywhoosh.com for all of the results in categories 1, 2, 3, and 4. I love a good sprint finish. What a ride by Quadralli.
Well, I love a stage race because those types of things happen, and it is not over at the end of stage 1 or at the end of stage 2. It is not over until day 8 and stage 7.
So jumping back in with our yellow jersey in category 1, Michael Vink in the company of Mr. X100, Martin's Phil Graves here. They are trying to stretch this out on that big drag. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen, category 2. Well, they're at 31k, about 11k down the road from category number 1. But number 1 is where the racing is probably its most frantic at the moment. And you can tell that because they are lined out here. Knudsen, Mr. X100 and Phil Graves here are on a bit of a mission to make people sting here and really make this hurt. They're at 20.3k. So we are between Mount Pleasant and running our way down in towards the second of our sprints, which comes at 22.7k. And category 1 are absolutely nailing it at the moment. And nailing it as well. You can see our category number 3. Well, they are aligned. They've just regrouped once again. So clearly something just happening enough to pull the group out and then stretch it and come back together.
Well, category 3 are about to go into sprint number 4 at 41.5k, but we are currently in with category 2 and they are going into sprint number 3. In fact, that is the finish banner of sprint number 3 in front of them.
So we can see the banner in front. Who's got some pace? Let's watch the riders coming through. Big Red Power coming out. And look at this. They're getting the timing right. They've done this before. They know you've got to kick at the end because the gradient increases. You can lose so much time if you don't have power at the end of this segment. And it is that final kick through that is absolutely key to get a fast time through the segment. Here we go. This is your results. So Oliver Simmons in 1, Pacheco in 2, Moreno in 3, Cusimano in 4, and Castameo, who had a good ride in stage 1, in 5th position. And very interesting to see that the riders a little bit further down are the people who we maybe are going to see figuring in the overall. You can see, though, 10.4 watts per kilo from Olivier Simmons. Actually racing against Olivier on in the racing on esports. I'll tell you something, he's got one heck of a sprint. I say that as somebody who used to have one. He's definitely got one.
Well, there we go. So Simmons taking the 5 points there in sprint number 3 in that category 2 race on stage 2 of the MyWhoosh Championships.
So Michael Knudsen, the rider we're in with now, as we keep rocketing on. We are coming in to second sprint. Remember, this is a really key here. The riders are absolutely nailing this. Now, a sprint can unfold in one of 2 ways. It can either be a slow start or it can be a very quick run in, and they suit different riders. You can see that the category 1 riders all jockeying for position at the moment as they come through. Juan Hoyas, the rider in category 1, who has been absolutely flying in the sprints. He was absolutely flying on stage 1. He's flying again in stage number 2. And these are riders in category 1 on the left of your screen, category 2 on the right of your screen. And post sprint, you can just see these riders are looking like this. Really is interesting because as they come around these turns, this is the run towards the mountain for them. They're heading in towards the Mount Pleasant area, but they're not going to go up it. They're going to take a turning off and head out and around another sprint lap. So we tease them with the mountain, and then we're going to head off on to the next section and back round for another sprint. Remember, between our mountains, we have a total of 5 sprints for these riders.
Yeah. Well, do you know what's really interesting, Matt, is I'm seeing red numbers coming out of the category 1 race on the left-hand side of your screen, and they've not even got to the sprint yet. You can just see the sprint banner at the start of the sprint banner in front of them at 22.7 kilometers, but it has been a little bit fast and furious and lining out on the way in.
And lining them out is Mr. X100 from the UAE clan team. He's got the overall yellow jersey leader. That's Michael Vink on his wheel. But now come the sprinters. They're starting to mob. Seeing a number of riders coming from the back on the top right-hand side of your screen, just rolling in at pace. And it's about carrying speed through the group, taking the draft. Here we go. Kick in to the finish. Going to be key for those points. Can anybody topple the speed of Hoyos through there? Juan Hoyos went through on the very front of the group through the line. Has he managed to hold it for the sprint result? Panizza looking good as he came through.
Wow.
But oh, look at that, Juan Hoyos. And look at the power. He's into double digits. 11.9 watts per kilo. Nearly, well, it's over. My goodness, 202 watts higher than second place Kaminsky.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Hoyos is absolutely nailing his colours to the mast. In
Big
terms of the
power.
sprint competition, Kaminsky in 2, Noren in 3, Nair in 4, and Panizza in 5. So we have point scorers through to 5th place.
And Zach now clearly was listening. He's got himself into the points this time.
There you go. You
There
see,
we
somebody
go.
listens to you.
No, not many. So, but maybe the millions that view at home end do. You never know. Even if in the commentary box Emma doesn't. That's not fib. She does, of course. Now, into the racing, we're back with category 1. Now we are seeing a big split occurring here because we've got some big names sitting further back. Bruce Bird, David Dunn, and Ross Fawcett, notably coming into the sprint here. Now, on the first stage, Fawcett was going for the sprints, and I think Fawcett is deciding whether or not he's going to have gone for that one. We're going to have to take a little bit of a look at the timing. Remember, of course, the sprint times are live. Fawcett can come charging from the back through this little group and set a very fast time and actually topple the top of them. We saw that yesterday, but he's not got the advantage of sitting in a group of what is essentially 25 riders going at 40 kilometers an hour to spring out from. He's got to do that in a group of 4. Very,
Yes,
very different
but he doesn't
ball
have
game.
to ride at 4 watts per kilo or 5 watts per kilo that the lead group are riding at. He can ride at 2.5 or 3 watts per kilo and put a bigger kick in. So
I
he's
like his
more
style.
recovered.
I like his style. Right,
well, it's a
steady
clear
and then
tactic.
kick.
It is a clear tactic, and particularly if you want to target the sprints. And do you know what? It really worked for him yesterday. He wasn't with that leading group, and actually, time after time, off the back of that leading group, he set top 5 sprint times.
Well, and of course, probably earned himself an extra slice of birthday cake. You never know.
Well, whilst cake is on Matt's mind, we are in with the leading group in the category 1 race, and it is pushing on. It is still pushing on, but this is quite a steady pace for this group.
So let's take a look at the prize pool for category 1. So category 1 prize pool, you can see here we have the overall prize money up at the top, and we have the daily prize money on the lower section of your screen. The individual classification at the end of all 7 stages, our winner will take away 10,000. Let's say that again, $10,000. The team that takes away the top spot in the team competition, and that team competition currently being led by the UAE clan team, $42,000. Our sprint winner, our youth winner, our mountains winner, and our masters winner, all taking away $5,000. And of course, each day up for grabs, our sprint winner could be Russ Fawcett, you never know. It could be Juan Hoyos, $500. Our mountains winner, will it be Said Safrazad who takes that away this time? $500. And an even bigger prize, of course, for our stage winner, which is what was taken away by Michael Vink. Now, Michael Knudsen on the front of the group at this stage. And I think we're going to have to be very, very attentive here, Emma, because we are on the run round at the moment. We're at 25.9K. And just taking a look across on the right-hand side, 24.8. So currently just over a K back is Bruce Bird. He was in the company of David Dunn, Simon Walter, Nicholas Van Haren and Ross Fawcett, but that's not the case anymore.
No, not at all. And we can see some real time differences here and some real distance gaps. So it is indeed coming up for 1.1 kilometers, actually. What a huge gap that is now.
It is a big gap, but like I said, there are different tactics. And one of the great things about having a stage race is Okay, so you have a bad day on day two, and you're not in the overall, but you know what? There's still the sprints, there's still the mountains to go for, there's still the stage wins to go for. Rest for 3 days, 4 days, have a nice easy ride, get through the finish, and then do you know what? Put it all down on stage five
Well,
and take away something really big.
and you might be really lucky because everyone else gunning for the overall classification may just let you go down the road and take the stage.
And they're going to be more tired.
Yep.
They're going to be absolutely, if people are not on their knees by the end of this 7 stages, that last stage, if you've not looked at the profiles, make sure you check them out. You can download them as well as the tag guide, the rule set on the way through. The last stage actually is not hugely mountainous.
No, it is fairly flat. 495 metres of climbing over the 70 kilometres in stage 7.
So not as hilly as today. So it's going to be a fast stage, but everybody's going to be struggling. So if you've got some serious power, if you are fresh, you're going to be able to fly on there. But of course, don't forget we have the rest day, and that is going to throw something different in the mix as well. Now, Category 2, right-hand side of your screen. Category 1, left-hand side of your screen. And Category 2 are very, very active. You can just see they're strung out a little bit more than Category 1 at the moment. Category 1 about to come around. They've just gone through past the pens and are going up on to the climb away from the shoreline and up on to the cliff top. As in Category 2, Johan Moreno pushes on. So looks like both races starting to stretch again. Now, here we go. This is a key point on Sunday Race Club. It's a key point on the championship. And one man who knows both inside out is Mr. X100, your Masters leader in the Category 1 competition. He's on the front, he's stretching this, and he's looking to do some damage. And that was one of the tactics that we saw time and time again yesterday. The team from the UAE clan team, they really made people hurt.
Well, yeah, and often not about going off the front, more about dropping riders off the back and whistling the group down because this is one large group at the moment. We are heading towards 30 kilometres of this 70-kilometre course complete, and we have a very large group of Category 1 riders all together. And there is not a lot on this course profile to separate them unless someone has an absolute intention to break the group.
They're going to have to really go hard. I think they're going to have to be lucky as well. I think no matter how good you are, that group could come back to you unless you're lucky. And they don't want to do it. It's got to be a lack of intention for them to bring you back on these lower sections. That is different, though, isn't it, though, when we come on to Mount Unpleasant for the final time, the second time today, because that is going to be really the crux of this stage. It really is the tough point in the climb of the day. It's identical in terms of climb to climb 1, but it comes at the end. The start of that climb hits at 63.9 kilometers, not at what is essentially 9.8. So that is a massive difference, and that is really going to be telling.
Well, and I think the real part and parcel of this, Matt, is what this group do between now, nearly 30k, and 63.9k, because that is going to have a huge influence on what happens on that climb. You know, we have some phenomenal climbers, but unless someone intentionally goes out to hurt them, aka Michael Knudsen just pushing off the front there, you know, they're going to come in with very fresh legs. So for this quality of rider to have a chance against the quality of the field, you know, they've really got to make each other hurt between now and 63k.
And look at this. I think this is a very deliberate tactic here because if you look at who are the three riders going on the front here, Knudsen, Vink, Mr. X100, who do they all ride for? UAE clan team. This is something very, very interesting because they have gone very hard there. You saw the wind up coming from this, and then you saw Vink go, then you saw Mr. X100, and all three riders together. This is a really big attack here. Now, even if it comes to nothing, they've made the riders hurt and they have said, come on, guys. You think you're good? We're even better because they are pushing on here. Now they've been joined here. Who's gone and joined them, Emma?
Well, there's a number of riders there, but Zach Nair is the one who's gone, I'm not letting you go. I am crossing that juncture completely and fast. So Nair has joined them. Van den Eckhout has joined them. Panisa is now there, and Van Elst. No one is going to let the UAE clan disappear off up the road.
Well, they're not. They're going to try not to. I don't think it's all that simple. I think That is partly due to the strength index. We know that on this course, a rider who is nicknamed the Momentum Master on some of our other courses, that is Pablo Popovic. He's a rider who can ride this course because he can deal with the change in terrain. He's on the left-hand side of your screen. Right-hand side, you can see that we have Knudsen leading this out again. He's got Vink behind him. This time it's Pim van Diemen coming up with him, and then Phil Grace, Stefan van Elsline of Jassin. Really is a who's who of racing. We are at, let's remind you, less than half race distance, 30k covered of 70 kilometers. If they keep this up, they aren't going to be in bits. There are going
No,
to be
I
lungs all
disagree.
over the floor.
Knudsen and Vink will not be in bits if it's a two-man breakaway to the finish line. Because if anybody could do it, Knudsen and Vink could do it.
It's so far, 40 kilometres to the finish. This is some ask. I think this has got to be an attack, make them pay, and then take a rest. Let some of the other team members have a go and sit in the wheels instead.
No, I'm a fangirl. Leave me be.
And we will see who's going to be right here. So it is Vink and Knudsen on the front. They're being chased down, though, by Saeed Safrazad, who knows these two very, very well. Saeed Safrazad, normally on a Sunday race club, will be a member of the UAE clan team. This time around, Saeed Safrazad is riding for the Sticky Bone Club with Nicholas Van Haren, Ross Fawcett, Jakob Björklund, and Bruce Bird. And I'll tell you something, Saeed Safrazad is a great climber. We've seen him in action so many times. I'm really looking forward when we go on to things like the Epic Mountain Stage to see if he can repeat that on those big, long climbs. Climbs like the Jebel Yais, which is over 15 kilometers long. We've got one stage with the Jebel Yais and the Jebel Hafit in it. That epic mountain stage, well, I think it's going to live up to its name.
Can't wait.
I know the mountain is always good, but I do think this course really does show the aggressive racing. Now, we've just got a little pause in the action, and clearly they decided that they're not going to keep that pace up for the entire way, but I'm sure Emma's right. It won't be long before somebody decides to have another dig. And there we go. Another push on the front once again. They are not letting this rest. They are continuing to push. We're at 31.5k. Our next sprint comes at 32.1. I'm not sure anybody's going to have anything left in their legs to sprint because they've been chasing down the moves that are being made. Mr. X100, Michael Vink, up at the front once again for the UAE clan team, joined now by Johan Noren. So Noren making his way up into contention as well. Very, very tough ride today. And they are just about able to see the gantry. So they've got the gap. The sprint is going to come. Then on the left-hand side of your screen, you can just see Bruce Bird at the moment. He's been trying to make his way back up to the group. I think he's going to be struggling to get right in touch.
Well, absolutely. As X100, Knudsen, Graves with Jassin, Van den Eckhout push on the front here. The rest of the pack comes snowballing up as we see in front of us at 32.1 kilometres. That is the next sprint banner. So sprint number 3 coming up for category 1. So it's interesting to see after all the attacking and jostling for the front of this group and for a breakaway as to who is going to go into contention for this sprint or whether anybody is going to contend this sprint, because at the moment I am not seeing anything light up the screen, but Hoyas is the only one who has gone for this. Juan Hoyas in that sprint jersey goes for sprint number 3. Now, it was not even a competition.
Well, we're going to see that when the times come up. And if Emma's correct there, it was Hoyos who went through. But look at that. There's a counter-attack going from Knudsen over the top. So Emma quite correct there. Hoyos going at 726 watts. He is clear of Thien. Thien went through at 479 and 6.6 watts per kilo. But you can see that the numbers there reflecting Emma's feeling on that. Really the rider who went for it. And that was Juan Hoyos. So Juan Hoyos with 5 points. Christoph Thiem with 4. You've got Tim Cutler with 3 points. And Lucas Zadaska adding 2 points to his total. Michael Knudsen adding 1. Now, we saw a big attack go over the top there. I saw 10 watts per kilo coming out as we went from the sprint into our screens at the moment. When we come back to the action, Emma, do you think that attack will have been continued?
Well,
come on, get off the fence.
I was going to say, there is a good question. Do I think? I think we're ripe for an attack at the moment. I think this transition stage between the two a sense of Mount Pleasant is not going to be a quiet time at all for Category 1.
So as we go back to our screens on the left, it looks like it's been contained, the push over the top. Just looking to see if anybody's down the road on the left of our screens. Right-hand side, Bruce Bird still chasing a little bit further back in Category 1. But you can see left-hand side, looks like that group all together. Nobody got very far, and the attack that continued through from that sprint, just opening up, just stretching out as they come over the sprint line and start heading in and around. So 33.8k covered. We have covered 3 of our sprints. We've got 3 more to go. So this is where we run round. So basically we've got laps of 9.1k, and I think these riders are really going to be pushing on. Now, just taking a look at our Category 3 riders, they are currently at 51.8k. They're on the right-hand side of your screen. They've just come through their penultimate sprint. So they have one more sprint left. They're just heading out on to the circuit with one more circuit of the beach sprint circuit with the laps, the shorter of the laps before they go up on to the climb. So still a fair distance to that climb, about 14k for them. For our Category 1 riders, they know that there is going to be plenty more pain before they even get to the turn of seeing Mount Pleasant. And that is being handed out predominantly by the team from the UAE clan team. Now, this group has got smaller. We can see Mr. X100 on the front stretching this out, but I think this group has lost a few riders here. Emma, is that the impression you're getting? I can't imagine everybody's been able to stay with this pace.
No, they haven't. We've seen some riders drop off. I mean, we've had the flick back, haven't we, to Bird? We know that Fawcett is further behind. So this group was a large group to start with, and we know that they have been dropping off the back in 1s and 2s. So whilst we had no attack off the front, we have been slowly losing riders off the back of this group.
So I think that group down to about 23 riders or so. Just watching the screens.
Looking at the screen at the moment, I would agree with that, Matt. This group, 23 riders at the front of Category 1.
So 7 riders being distanced at the moment. Mr. X100 sitting in the back. He's got rider number 22 according to that. So may well be it's 22 rather than 23. Very difficult always to tell with the ever-evolving churn that occurs on the front of the group.
That would indeed mean that Jakob Björklund is the rider between this pack and Bruce Bird. So the last rider to be dropped off this group is indeed Björklund.
Yeah, Jakob Björklund, a very handy rider indeed, and a regular on the Sunday Race Club. Don't forget, of course, you can catch up with all of the action from the Sunday Race Clubs. They're all there available to watch back and go back. You can go into the dim and distant panel. You can have a check out of the very, very quick evolution of the graphics from the very start and work your way up and through.
And of course, if you want to come and join the Sunday Race Club for May, you will indeed be riding and racing with some of the riders you are watching today. So head on over to MyWhoosh.com, take a look at the events page and the Sunday Race Club. You will find the technical guide, you will find the rules, you will find frequently asked questions, you will find all the information you need to set yourself up, get onto MyWhoosh, get riding and get joining us on the Sunday Race Club for May.
Indeed, and I think that is going to be what I would. What would you like to see come out of the stage? I would personally want to see the riders coming through, and I would want to see lots of riders joining the Sunday Race Club, because that is really, really key. And come and join. And there's riders of all ages and abilities.
Yeah, there is indeed. We're watching at the moment our Masters competition in Category 1 in those blue jerseys, and it does show there is something for absolutely everybody on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club and on the MyWhoosh Championships, because we've got a Masters category, we've got under 23 plus the general category as well. And one thing that we do see, that equal prize money for men and women, as well as that prize money for Masters and under 23, absolutely key.
And our regular riders benefiting from that in the championship. We're watching Mr. X100 left-hand side of your screen. He's our Masters leader. At the end of stage 1, will he be holding that at the end of stage 7? Well, only time will tell. I have to say, I think he's on absolutely storming form at the moment, because when we look at the racing, we know that he is the road captain very much. He's absolutely instrumental in how the tactics seem to play out for that UAE clan team. But he's also today and yesterday been riding incredibly strongly, and I think he's been working towards this point. Looking back now with hindsight at the performances in the Sunday Race Club, I think he's really been working to hit this at
Well,
some speed.
I think this championships has been a target for a number of esports riders, and we see that, don't we? You know, they have absolutely been a target for the MyWhoosh championships, and we've seen riders come into form at the right time, and that is exactly what's happening with X100 as well as some of the other riders here. We are seeing really strong performances because of the fact their training programs have targeted the championships.
An interesting tactic there. Just saw Miss X100 just drop off the back of the group, just coming in to this climb, but now charging at them at speed, and he's going to come straight through now. Look at that. He laid it off. He comes through the group and then easy, so he jumps into that pack. And going to be interesting to see how he does as we go on. If that is a one-off, that could be for a number of reasons, Emma.
Well, to start with, Matt, that's not an easy tactic to use. And that technique that X100 has just shown there, that ability to manage the power output on an esports platform so that you don't snowball over the front, takes practice and takes skill. And for those viewers watching this who haven't tried it, get on there and see how you need to manage it. It really is about delicately managing your power output.
And when we talk about snowballing over the front of the group, that is to come through. So you put the power down to get back to the group. If you kept that power on as you come through, the added draft allows you to go straight through. Yes, Emma. Yeah?
Yes.
Got to get it right. I don't want to get it wrong. So it's about making sure you don't go through. And that is a skill. And as Emma says, it takes some learning. You do see people almost kangarooing the way through,
Yeah,
so jumping backwards
and then
forwards.
they come off the power completely and it goes to 0.7 watts per kilo. But Michael Knudsen at the moment, definitely not at 0.7 watts per kilo. Currently kicking at around 6.5. X100 comes up, comes through, teammates come alongside, comparing and keeping it going. So Knudsen pushes on, X100 in two. Hoyas is the one at the front of the group with Vujasin and Vanden Eckhart. They are not doing a lot at the moment, but this push from Knudsen, well, I'm not sure this is an intentional push. I just think this is playing with the group.
Well, yeah, and it's a concerted, it's a planned play here because
Planned play.
It's planned play. It's not random. It's not just spontaneous. I think there are very deliberate tactics being employed here by the UAE clan team, and you've got to remember. One thing that people might not be aware of is that these riders are going to be talking to each other. Now, look at this. Michael Vink this time. Again, riding for the UAE clan team.
Dummy one from Knudsen, Vink over the top.
Knudsen goes, then it's Vink. Vink goes on. And these riders are talking to each other as a team. They will all be conversing with each other. And this is being taken very seriously. Look at the increase in pace of the group. They've actually distanced one or two riders who are having to fight to get back on again here because Michael Vink's attack has been answered by Cutler, by Hoyers, by Panizza, by Safrazad. They're all pushing up towards the front. And the UAE clan team are doing that classic. They're sending someone up the road. Teams are having to answer it. Then they're sending somebody else up the road.
Did you notice there, Matt? They'd also sent Knudsen to the front of that pack and he sat back up on them in an attempt to slow them down. But it hasn't worked because Vink is out. But the rest are chasing Safrazad, Popovic, Noren, Martins, Vanden Eckhout. They are all going up the road after Vink. And Safrazad is the one pulling it through.
It is Safrazad who's closing down, just seeing the riders come around this left-hand turn here. Pablo Popovic is the rider we are running with at the moment, but up the road is Michael Vink. So Vink has gone. He's gone hard. He is approaching, guess what, 40k. So he's over half race distance, but this means he's still got 30 kilometers to go. A 30k response? Well, we said yesterday that his tactics were very much of the style of Tadej Pogacar. Do you think Michael Vink and Tadej Pogacar have been sharing a room out on tour and out of the classics?
Yeah, they've been training. Pogacar's been learning from Vink and Vink's been learning from Pogacar.
I'm loving your can anybody
Everybody has
Pogacar
something to share with somebody else.
Yeah, roommate sharing, that's probably not a topic for the commentary as we make our way around the race circuit. So you can see Michael Knudsen, the rider we're with, on the left-hand side of your screen as they make their way through right-hand side of your screen. This is category 2, and the aggression is being shown again here as they approach the 50-kilometer marker here. So 50.9 to 51.2 is the sprint, but they are already ramping this up. Look at the right-hand side of that
Yeah.
screen. It is in red and yellow as they are all answering the push there. As they come in, they know that they do not want to let anybody go. Time is ticking on. They're approaching 50k of 70 kilometers, and this could well be spoiling tactics for that sprint.
Yeah, it is indeed, and we are seeing this really light up this category 2 race. Now, this is one really large bunch. If we take a little bit of a look back, we're looking over 20 riders in this group, 22, 23, 24. You know, as they continue to push on, Ospina is the one, but is quickly rotating through, and they are about to come onto this sprint at 50.9k.
So round that right hand turn, they go about 600 meters to go to the start of the sprint. The riders looking like they really do mean business. Let's watch out for anybody taking an early flyer. You can just see, though, speaking of flyers, Michael Vink, right hand side screen. He's on it again. He has pushed again and just eases off. Look at that, 0 watts. Do you know what? I'm going to let you all come back up to me, and they're going to come at speed. So is he going to be able to kick on here? It looks to me like he may have a problem. Now, we do have riders having issues. This will be big news if our yellow jersey has an issue. Now, it could be that the turbo trainer has got a connection issue. We have seen riders who are out on tour. Remember, this is a world tour rider, so he's probably not likely to be at home. We've seen riders out race regularly on esports from their hotel rooms out on tour. And guess what? It often is the case that they don't have the most stable internet, that they don't have the best connection, and then they've got some work to do. And this really will mix up the racing, because all of a sudden, the rest of the group are going to go, wait, time for me to have a go, and it
Well,
is time to have a go. Here we go. We are on our way into the next sprint here. So this is going to be sprint number 4 of 6. Remember, the man to beat is Wahoo. They need to keep a lid on him. If he continues to keep extending his lead by getting more and more points, it could be a door that they can't shut later.
well, I've just seen 14 watts per kilo coming out of Hoyas at the moment, so he's absolutely adamant he wants a clean sweep of these sprints today. So Hoyas out and contending, but X100 is pushing on here as well. Now, X100, I think, hung around and waited for Vink because his teammate had issues. Now he's got to catch back on, as Hoyas is the one wanting this sprint today.
So the riders in and through that 300-meter sprint, and absolutely key for them. Now, Mr. X100, I think I'm absolutely correct there, just went back to wait. He's going to have to chase back on. We'll come back to that in a moment. You can see the results of the sprint, and once again, Juan Hoyos right up at the front. Panizza in second place, again scoring points. Christoph Thien, Phil Grace, and Van Elst also in the points there. But for me, the big take home today, can anyone beat Juan Hoyos in a sprint? Because he's proved he can do that on a steady stage. You could take sprint points before the mountains. He's now taking sprint points after the mountain.
Well, I'm wondering whether Ross Fawcett further back is doing what he did yesterday and coming through at a slower pace out of the group, but still contesting the sprints. And Fawcett, not in the bunch yesterday, took himself into second place in a number of the sprints, picking up points, taking him into second place overall behind Hoyas on the stage in the sprint competition.
Now, let's go back from our sprints back into the chase by Mr. X100, who had waited for Vink, who clearly had an issue. He is now on the chase behind the leading bunch, trying to make the way up to the front. Is Mr. X100. Now, this is a position we have seen Mr. X100 in regularly. Absolutely superb team. It's the sort of man you want beside you if you are the road leader on the road, if you're a yellow jersey, because you know he's going to be looking after you, he's going to have your back. But sometimes leaves him in the position he has got to chase on, but he's an absolute consummate rider at this.
Oh, they absolutely ride as a team as well, Matt, which I think is absolutely core to the UAE clan and to the individual rider's success, because they support each other, they lead out each other, they protect each other, and and riders win because of it and are successful because of it. And X100 is a successful part of that team, and he shows that time and time again. Keeping an eye on his teammate, dropping back to ensure, can he help, can he tow back on, can he help Michael Vink, to come back into the group, but now chasing himself back into the group, and it may take him a while, but I think he'll make it.
Well, look at this. SS, his teammate, has dropped back as well to pick up Mr. X100 because they've got that Masters jersey to defend.
Yeah.
Look at the watts per kilo. Now, SS, when we talk about the word that's done by Mr. X100, SS is looking good. So you can see here that drop back. You can see the watts per kilo come down. You can see him coming back and the time gap opening. And this is what I absolutely love about the stage racing. It shows you the character of these riders.
Look at that.
There's no such thing as just taking individual glory in a stage race. It's so difficult to take the win, to take a category lead. And this is a team and dynamics and team loyalty in action.
Yeah.
And this is why having a strong team is so important. And look at that pickup. I have had the pleasure. I'm just going to write out. I have ridden with both these riders on MyWhoosh, and do you know what? That is brilliant. And you just
Look
saw the
at
little
that hand
turnaround.
signal, absolutely brilliant. So the hand signal comes out from SS, through and off. Let's do this together, you and me. Let's work together and let's bring this gap down. We've got 15 seconds to get back from the group. We know we can do it. We've done this many times before. Let's get going.
So here we go. Well, it's time to wind it up. I've been on the receiving end and seen them right off into the distance when they've done this. I'll tell you something, they are moving. But look at the rest of the group now. The riders for the UAE clan team, we've got riders in the chase. The other teammates play their part in this, don't they, Emma? Because the riders in there are going to be sitting in this group. They're not going to be doing a turn on the front. They're not going to be putting the speed up. They're just going to be trying to disrupt things and hang on. And they are now going to be trying to get a free ride in there. However, all the rest of the teams now will be going, hang on a minute. We've got half the UAE clan team, over half the UAE clan team out the back. We're going to need to push on. And now this is a battle of wills. It's about character. It's about strength. It's about power. And it's about working as a team together. SS doing an amazing job. I mean, dropping back and now working with Mr. X100. And are we going to see them come back in? You can see that Masters jersey here. He's sat on in there, isn't he, Emma? And he is working hard. These riders, we know that Mr. X100's heart rate is low comparative to a lot of riders, but he's up 150 at the moment. For him, that's high.
Yeah, he's working high. He heads to 160 and you're looking at the rider going pop. And that is really interesting because we talk about heart rates quite often, and heart rates are so personal. Some riders don't blow till they reach over 200. Others will blow at around 160. I know for me, if I hit 183, I am in trouble and I've got about 20 seconds left.
And that is why it's so great watching this esports here on MyWhoosh, because you've got so much data. We've got the riders' heart rate, we've got the pace, and you can see Saeed Safrazad here really winding it up here. The riders have sensed that this is their chance to do some damage. They can see on their screens. They'll know what's there. They'll see the pictures on the live footage. They'll know the distances that they are at. And on this sat-nav view, you can see they've got them in sight. And look at this. They are on the way. Really interesting. Pim Van Diemen here, I think, is struggling to stay with the pace of that leading group. He's just been distanced off. And look at the speed of SS and Mr. X100. They know that when they come onto this climb, as they go into town, they are going to be the closest they're going to be to the back in terms of distance. So here we go. The speed has dropped of the leading pack and the chase is on behind, but the riders on the front do not want to let them back on.
No, they don't, but it's really interesting now. We're just seeing this climb coming in, and these riders are working so hard. This is like the finish. The finish line for SS and X100 is the back of that group, because they know they do not make the back of that group. There is no point worrying about the finish line. So for them, their finish line today, their checkered flag, is the back of this leading group.
And they are, remember, of course, defending the team lead. They had the lead coming in. 23 seconds was the margin that they had. They need to get their riders back in. If they're going to have 3 riders in at the finish, they need to get both these riders in, and they need to be in contention. They know that they've had problems for Vink, who's out the back of this group now, has dropped right the way back through. This means they've got to respond. They've got to get up there. They've got to keep on pushing. That time gap is coming down. They keep getting closer. They've got them in their sights, and that is a key moment. But look at Saeed Safrazad. I tell you something, he really is winding this up. He took a big turn on the front there to get that speed really high there, pushing on at the front. But look at Mr. X100. He's going to make the contact. You can see the back of the group. 3 seconds now. Come on, guys. This is it. Big push.
Yeah, well, whilst they continue to push big and push large, and SS continues to work with X100 to get back to the group, they are banking on the group sitting up a little bit and pushing on, sitting up, pushing on and sitting up, because X100 and SS have held a really constant pace. Now on the front of the group, we're seeing a push again. They're pushing at around 6 watts per kilo, and Graves is up there with Safrazad pushing on at the moment.
Now we're just seeing the group come back on. This is Mr. X100 now. One of the things he's got to do, we talked about not snowballing over the front. He needs to not do that, but he also needs not to drop too low, because one of the really hard things is when you've done a massive chase, you back off because you're in with the group and you back off too much. My policy always is get right up to the front and give yourself a little bit of sliding room in that group before you ease off. Never ease off at the back of the group. Ease off when you're up near the front, because then you can use the draft if you drop back too much and drop off the pace too much.
And also psychologically, getting back onto the group but not quite getting back onto the group is much harder psychologically than getting into the group, into the middle of the group and staying there. You know, they are two very, we talked about technically balancing your power on the esports platform, on the MyWhoosh platform, and that is absolutely key, because it is also part and parcel of your motivation and your head, which is as important as your legs.
So just seeing Martin Martins there, I think just finding himself in trouble. So Martin Martins just dropping off that group for about 8 seconds there as he came around that right-hand bend. We are seeing riders coming out of this group. And remember, just like you would find on the road, having a reliable kit, absolutely key. We do see riders having punctures. We see riders snapping chains. We see riders breaking handlebars. We've seen riders actually coming completely off the turbo train with the effort that they put in riding on the competition on a Sunday race club. And exactly the same thing can happen here. You've got to be really on the pace here to go for it now. We just see Mr. X1 just take a little bit of a breather there as he then pushes back into this group. He knows how far he can go. He knows how much room he can give. So really interesting to see now. Martin Mott is in the Belgian Waffle squad, has gone off the back. Has he got teammates going back, or has the group made a decision that they're not going to get him back in again? That's left-hand side of your screen. Right-hand side, this is our second category riders. They are at 57.88k, so about 2k off coming in to their next set of sprints.
Yeah, they are indeed, and they are still one large group. So we've got a large group on the left-hand side of your screen in the yellow jerseys. That is the leaders in the category 1 race. We've got a big group on the right-hand side of your screen in the green jerseys. That is the leading group in the category 2 race. These are big groups on the stage today, so we are currently seeing high levels of competition and no races decided yet, still with a long way to go.
So category 1 currently at 50-kilometer marker, or about to hit that, and traveling well. 58k covered for category 3. Riders in category 2, category 3 currently at 6k from the finish, and I'm sure we'll try and get to them as they come in to the finish with 6k. That means that they're going to be on the final climb, and that will be that decisive climb in. That just keeping an eye on what's been happening in category 1 a little bit further back. You can just see Jakob Björklund and Bruce Bird, the nearest chasers to the front group on the left-hand side of your screen. And that leading group of riders really continuing to push on. We've seen repeated attacks and counter-attacks. Nothing making a really race-winning move. And here we go. Here we get in with category 3. They are indeed on Mount Pleasant. So this is the key moment. We've got our points leader. I think it's going to be on the front of the group here. And you just keep an eye. In fact, it's our under 23 leader leading them up this climb at the moment. Hadina going to be leading them up the initial slopes. Remember, this is part one of a two-part climb, the two component parts, as Emma said, really key in here. The second is the bigger and the longer, but it comes on the back of a dip, and that can be really key. But this is where the battle for the overall is going to be contested. You can see at the moment that the yellow jersey is yo-yoing about, just tucked in the back of the group there. And you can just see our under 23, our youth leader, just tucking in, not continuing at the very front over the top, but this group over the top. And this run down into part two will be critical. Will we see Daniel Gomez of Valencia hold that yellow jersey in and through over the top of the climb? Well, we have one set of gradients to come that are going to be really instrumental in that, and that is Mount Pleasant Part 2. Now, back on with Category 1, you can see Michael Knudsen on the attack, 5 seconds clear at the moment as they go into the sprint here. Interesting point to put an attack in, because if this sprint unfolds, which we expect it to do so from people like Juan Hoyos, he could pull the whole group back up to Knudsen. So Knudsen going on the attack so early is going to see an interesting response here. Now, Hoyos is coming at pace. He's going to get right on the wheels of Knudsen.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting tactic from Knudsen in terms of timing, because Hoyos has indeed done what we expected him to do, and Cutler has followed him as well. So in contesting the sprint, they have come up and brought the group back to Knudsen. So Michael Knudsen put in an attack there before the sprint and went clear, but Hoyos has pulled the group back through that sprint, and we're going to just take a look at those sprint results.
Well, look at Juan Hoyos once again taking a full points, 5 points coming through. And I think we have a very clear favourite in the Category 1 sprint competition. The Hexagon 1 rider, Juan Hoyos, taking the win well clear. Almost double the watts per kilo being kicked out to his nearest rival. That is Michael Kaminsky, who took second, but Van den Eek out taking third. Vidal Mayer taking fourth, and Christoph Thiem taking fifth position. And very interestingly, Juan Hoyos now surely is going to be the real prize winner on that Hexagon 1 team. Will the team change tactics and maybe just give him pure support from here on in? Because he's doing a great job at the moment and will be taking away the stage sprint winner's prize. So try saying that without too many comments.
Well, we're back in with this Category 1 pack, and they are still motoring. So we've still got just shy of 20 riders in this group. And I think that is how we are going to play it out. We saw those Category 3 riders going into the second ascent of Mount Pleasant with 13 riders in the leading group. We've got a leading group in the Category 2 race, and we have this leading group in the Category 1 race with 21 riders in this group.
So 21 runners in the leading group with about 18 or 17.5k to go, and they are clear of the chasers behind. Jakob Björklund riding in with Bruce Bird. Bruce Bird, the nearest Masters rider, I think, to Mr. X100, who is in that leading group at the minute. And going to be a really interesting battle there, but it looks pretty much clear at the front, and that time gap will continue to open out. The leading riders are making their way through now. They've just come through their penultimate sprint. They have one more sprint to go in Category 1. That comes at 60.3 kilometers, and then we turn in towards Mount Pleasant for the last time, and that run into the line. So leading the group continues to be whittled down. Chase is on behind, but not going to make contact. I think the distance between the two are way too much, about 3.4, 3.5k at the moment. And I don't think there's going to be any problems for the riders in front now as the leaders go on in that group. Emma, we are just talking a little bit before you came on air, and let's say we'd try and mention if we got a little bit of a gap in terms of recovery at the end of stage 1 going into stage 2. It's the first time these riders have had to go from day to day on a MyWhoosh event, and I'm sure plenty of them have done it on different events. What would be your recovery? Would there be anything really, really key for the riders?
Well, that's a really good question, Matt. Recovery is part and parcel of that whole nutrition and hydration package. And I would be thinking actually about not just the 8 days, but probably the 4 days that came before that as well, at least. And I would be looking at a good 10, 12 days. So 2 weeks, really, I would be thinking about my hydration and my recovery and planning that. And that is absolutely key. But we just drop in, with this leaders in this category 3 race. They are going to be the next riders to come up to the finish line.
And they're going to need to make sure they get that recovery at the end of the stage. We'll see who's going to take victory. And of course, that's a clear indication that recovery has gone really well for them between stage 1 and stage 2. And then they have to repeat that again. Now, the situation on the road, Cristiano Montoya at the moment leading clear of Valencia. It looks like Headwind at the moment. Not far behind. I think we are going to see what is potentially a group of 4 riders clear at the front. They're being chased by Phillips in 5th, Bala in 6th place. But this is going to be very, very tight. And what is very telling, yellow jersey Valencia is at the front of the race. He's got the white jersey with him as well. Really, really key.
Yeah, and that is absolutely part and parcel of what we're doing here, isn't it? And Staples is in 4 at the moment, and Staples is seeing those 3 riders go clear, Matt. And I think he's starting to panic and he's starting to push on now because there's 1 second gap. So Headwind, Montoya, Gomez, Valencia, these 3 riders with a bit of a gap back to Staples, but Staples ensuring he pushes on because Staples wants to get back onto those wheels, and now it is a fight for that to happen.
It is, and time is running out for anybody else to come up to them. So the gaps are not huge. It's only 5 to 6 seconds back behind the first 4 riders or so. And now it looks like Stepan Headwind moving on. Headwind currently trying to stretch this group to keep them in front. This is going to be key for the overall as well as for the stage win. It may only be 5, 6 seconds back, but this is helping both our white jersey leader and our yellow jersey leader for the under 23 and the general classification overall. They've got to continue to push on here. I think Valencia is also leading the King of the Mountains. They are clear of this group with Felix de Manuan in here. We've got Bala in here. They are trying to close the gaps down. This is going to be really tight.
It is going to be tight indeed, and they need to be careful they don't run out of road because the clock is ticking and it is coming down. So just under 1,500 meters to go in this category 3 race. We've got riders out front. In fact, Staples is leading the group at the moment. Headwind, Montoya and Gomez Valencia, the 4 riders out front. Then 6 seconds, 5 seconds now back to Phillips, who's putting in a concerted effort to try and close that gap down and not let this 4 riders who have broken away go 1, 2, 3, 4 in this race today.
Well, at the moment, that gap is low, isn't it, Emma? 6 seconds. This is going to be tough. We're very close, coming into 1,000 meters to go. The 1K to go marker is passed. We're at 69 of the 70 kilometers. We've ascended both runs up the mountain of Mount Pleasant here on the Wollongong climb. We've gone through all of our sprints, our 6 sprints completed. This is the final run for the line. We're going to have another Kickr to come, and that is on the turnaround. You can see the bridge going over the top of the riders. That is the ascent, and that is a height gain. And look at that group behind Emma.
Yeah, and this is a steep kicker, Matt. This is a steep kicker where we've seen attacks go in Wollongong. But right now, the attack it's going to contend is the finish kick here as Staples leads the group into that. But we start to see some real kicks coming as they turn that corner, and that's where it kicks to around 5%. Now, the riders here are using that Montoya's kick in. Montoya is sprinting. Montoya kicked 10 watts per kilo there. Absolutely. All 4 of these want the win today.
They do, and they've used the power there to go over the top. But Phillips was no slouch, and he's got the gap down to what is 4 seconds at the moment. As they go over the top, the riders in front start to pick up speed and pick up pace. So Phillips clear of Barlow and de Manuan. However, this is about the run for the line. Remember, the winner of the stage today getting the stage prize win. that money is going to be heading to somebody. Is it going to be heading for the leaders of the jersey? Here is the run for the line. Who's going to get it? It's going to be Ty on the line. Big kick. What a bit of timing there by Montoya. Did he get it? They all wanted to take the win, but Montoya's wind up there. What a run. The rest of the riders coming through with Phillips and Bala coming through just ahead of the Manuan. We are going to need to have a replay, I think, of that one to see just how close that was. Now, if that was very, very close, it will actually go back to the time on the servers. Now, the overall is Christian Montoya. Great win by Christian. Look at the time gap between them. It is a 1-7 for Montoya. It's a 2-1. That's into tens of seconds. What a ride. What a race. Fantastic racing in category 3.
So
Still
close.
And we've got category 2 and category 1 out on the road. Let's get back in with category 1. Wow. They've got something to live up to today, and they've already been doing it. We've seen some incredible action.
Oh, I know, and the action is coming thick and fast, isn't it? Because our category 1 field now are coming up for 57.5 kilometres of this race. The next thing they're going to see on the course in front of them at 60.3 kilometres is the final sprint. It is the 6th sprint of the day. Now, we have had Hoyas show us what sprinting is time and time again. I'm making an assumption he's going to go for the final sprint as well to try and round today out. But can anybody knock him off and take number 1 spot on our final sprint? So as we go in with the pack, we've got all of our current leading jersey wearer riders in this lead group of category 1 racers. And you can see here we are in with Mr. X100, having done an epic chase back on after waiting to help out a teammate. His teammate SS dropped back in to pull him back to the group. They made the juncture back to this leading group. So currently leading that Masters competition, Juan Hoyas with the sprint competition, and Safrazad with the polka dot jersey at the moment. So it is everything to play for in these last kilometres with the rest of this stage in front of them.
Okay, so we're in with our leaders, really looking to see just how fast they keep on pushing. Going to be really, really interesting. Now, let's see what is going to happen. This is really, really interesting moves here. You can just see the riders here in category 2. They are on the critical point of the climb. And as they come up, Parisi's lead is 20 seconds at the moment. Remember, the run to the finishing line is only 4.1k, predominantly downhill with the one kick around the flyover and up over the road. They go down. This is going to be really key. He's got the gap here. It is currently 24 seconds going over the top. Then you can see behind the chase really is coming. And this is going to be a group of riders, including our yellow jersey. This will be very, very tough. And I think Parisi has his work cut out, Emma.
Well, Parisi is going to have to time trial his way into the finish here. It's 4.1 kilometres. Anybody can ride 4.1 kilometres, but I'm not sure that you can stay out front whilst after on stage 2 of this race. But I am absolutely willing Parisi to do that. With 25 seconds, it may well be possible. Now, that was the second attempt at the Wollongong climb. So points for the King of the Mountains competition go to Parisi, setting the fastest time up the climb that time round. And that is part and parcel of this attack here as we see the rest of the points allocated across the field.
So what a ride there by Parisi on that climb, opening the gap up. Mendako, it's really pushing hard to stay with him. And I think this is very telling. A climb like this at the end, you can see that those riders' heart rates are really high, aren't they, Emma? They really have pushed up there. And I think that's partly because it's the last climb, so much racing. What's going to happen when we come on to some of our later stages where we have even bigger mountains on the way through to the finish?
Well, it is going to be really interesting racing, and I think we're going to see some very tired legs from some of our riders as we progress through the stages with the mountain stages to come now. But what is part and parcel of that is that they won't necessarily have to ride 17.4% of climb on those latter mountains.
Oh, what a shame. We used to love a steep climb, honest gov not. Right, so it is Eduardo Parisi in the lead, 2K clear at the moment of the chasers behind that gap. Remember, as they came over the top of the climb, was sitting at around about the 20-second marker. Now it's hovering around about 10 seconds, so the chasing riders have halved the advantage of Parisi on the descent. And Parisi has a long way to go when you're solo, 2K. So that's half a pursuit on the track. There is a long way to push solo when that group is coming.
Is it easier to do 2K out on the front with a 15-second gap, or is it easier to do 2K at the front of the chase group behind? That is the question at the moment, because Parisi is the rider out front. Parisi's now got 1.75 of a kilometre to do, and I am willing him alongside my mathematics to that finish line.
There you go. Emma's bringing overtaken by the enthusiasm to will him to get in. We always love a good attack, and Eduardo Parisi is providing that.
I love a brave rider.
Well, brave rider it is. We're going to flick back very quickly to our sprint here in category 1 as the riders come in underneath the gantry. We're going to clip the result of that in, because I think we are going to see yet another big dig from Juan Hoyos to take the victory in the sprint there. So Juan Hoyos, oh, it is. There you go. Look at that X-ray vision through the screen. So the result is that Hoyos has a clean sweep again, making no doubts, and he's finished it in style. 1,133 watts. What a power! He really did want to show them that if they're going to take that sprint jersey off him before they get to the end of the championship, they're going to be prepared to put some serious power down. Mayor Kaminsky, SS, and Martins in the 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right, that is the sprint wrapped up, and One Horse going to take a clear lead away from stage number 2 into 3. Who is going to be taking a lead through? Parisi has a gap. But it's minimal at the moment. He's going to go up on to the bridge. The rest of the riders, well, they are on the way in towards the flyover. Time is running out. He's at 600 meters to go, and the gap that had gone down to 10 seconds has gone back out again. Give this man a medal, never mind the prize money for the stage win, because Eduardo Parisi, he's absolutely nailing this.
This is absolutely Parisi's intention. There are no riders in the shot behind as Parisi comes into the last 200 meters of this race today. This is the chase behind. They are over 200 meters behind, and they are fighting each other for the minor places, because Parisi is moving. He is moving fast, and Parisi is the rider who's going to take the win. Kirchner is the rider in 2, pushing on, but Parisi sees the banner. Parisi is your winner in stage 2 in category 2 of the men's race.
And coming up behind, lining up for that gantry is Kirchner, but look at Mendicowicz going through. He goes through, and look at that. I think he got second place. Ruiz comes through as well. Howard, Duque, Maglio. And for me, one of the key things here is about who has got the time gaps behind. Now, Parisi looks like he's taken the white jersey there of under 23. Now, it looks like we're going to see a redistribution of all just great riding. And again, amazing racing in categories 4, 3, and 2. And that leaves us category 1 to decide the outcome of where the stage win will be. We have the sprints decided. The King of the Mountains is looking very interesting indeed because of the changes. Say Safrazad looking good for that. But leader on the road, it's going to change. We'll have a new yellow jersey at the end of today. Who will it be? Any predictions, Emma?
Well,
any quick predictions?
I don't know.
Don't think too long.
I instantly want to say I think Knudsen could do this today. It's Knudsen's type of course. But do not discount Safrazad, because we've seen a Safrazad 1, 2, 2, 1, backwards and forwards regularly on the Sunday Race Club. Vink isn't in here now, but we've also seen Zanaska and Nair and Martins and Vanden Eckhout and other riders really coming to form. So I'm putting my colours to the mast, and I'm going to say Michael Knudsen, but
No buts.
Can I not do a but?
No buts. No buts
Okay,
allowed.
I want to caveat
If
that
you were
because there
racing
are.
this, you wouldn't be allowed a but, and that is for sure. Now, here we go. The riders come round this sweeping left-hand bend. They know that time is ticking. They are at 63.4k, less than 500 meters to the start of the climb proper. This is the run in. They'll sweep round the bend and they'll see the road rise in front of them. Mr. X 100 really pushing on at the moment at the front of this group. He's the rider in that Masters Leaders jersey, and now the gradient starts to climb, and it's all a ways up to the point at the top of the climb, which is 65.9k. At that point, we have the run in to the finish that has seen that chase that we've just seen from the chase after Parisi in category 2. Now, are we going to see a solo breakaway? Are we going to see the prediction from Emma that we are going to see a two-way battle at the top potentially from Nutten and Safrazad? They're on to the climb. This is where it's going to count, and surely say Safrazad is going to want to take away the points, and in doing so could well put a lot of riders in jeopardy.
Well, we saw that gap form, didn't we, from Parisi from the top of the climb. He took the King of the Mountains on this climb. He took the fastest time and took those points in that King of the Mountain competition, and then made the 4.1-kilometer run in his own to take the win in that race. Now we are in with our category 1 riders, and we are on the foothills. I call them the foothills, but they are steep. They are currently 9.5%, but it is a foothill to the 17.5% that is coming later. We go up this first part of the climb, we descend and drop to the valley in the middle, and then we push on up the steeper segments of the Wollongong City climb to the top, and then we have that knife edge. But take a look at this. Safrazad has put his intentions out and about early and gone off the front of the pack.
And at 8.6, now 9.3 watts per kilo. You can see it's SS who's doing the chasing behind. This group have not got to let him go too far. You could open a big gap. If he's gone on the start of the climb, he could put in a really substantial gap into the rest of the riders. Now he's carrying that pace over the top, and watching those watts per kilo. They've dropped, but they've not dropped hugely. He's still going at nearly 6 watts per kilo down the way down. SS behind is, I think, waiting to bring the group through. Pablo Popovic, his teammate, is in there. But Sai Safrazad, well, we love an attacking rider. We love the aggression. We love the boldness of it. And Sai Safrazad in that polka dot mountain leader's skin suit is the rider on the front.
Yeah, the rider on the front, but SS, Hoyes, Noren, Kaminsky, Knudsen, Van Diemen are all in the group coming up and through, and it's Noren leading that pack out onto Safrazad's wheels. Noren is digging now with Knudsen behind him. SS, Hoyes, Mel is in there, and Kaminsky and Zanaska's numbers hit the red.
They're all going into the red. I just saw 9.3 watts per kilo from Said Safrazad. Michael Knudsen has battled against him, as Emma said, time and time again. It's going to be really interesting. Pim Van Diemen, though, having a fantastic ride again on this climb. We saw it early on in the race today. Pim Van Diemen is a demon. He's on his way to the top. You can see Said Safrazad has still got that gap. But the man behind him is the man with the red bandana, the white socks on here. It is Pim Van Diemen. He is on his way. Well, is he going to do an El Diablo? Is he going to be the devil himself? A reincarnation of Marco Pantani? But he's got company. It's the man with the same hairstyle. It's Knudsen who's on to the wheel of Van Diemen. Two chasers now after Safrazad. It's easing. Is it going to play to our two chasers?
Well, I don't know about that because Popovic is coming behind, and look at that. Popovic is now on the screen. Popovic is pulling Hoyes through as well. So Popovic and Hoyes are the next two riders on the road. Safrazad continues to push on the front here, but take a look at that top right-hand corner of your screen. They are lining up behind him. So Safrazad clear, but 5 seconds separates him, Knudsen and Van Diemen, Popovic, Hoyes, Kaminsky and Vujasin, and they just keep coming. It is one long line of Category 1 riders. Safrazad is clear, but just by those 5 seconds.
And here we go on to the upper sections of the climb. Brilliantly done by Saeed Safrazad as they come up on to the upper sections. He's got the gap. Now a small breakaway group formed. It's still being chased. The line behind is coming, and they are behind Van Diemen. It's Knudsen, Popovic, Hoyas, Van Diemen in the chasing group. Safrazad can see the gantry. He knows this is the top. He hasn't got 25 seconds that we saw from Parisi. Has he got enough? He's going to take away maximum points, surely, in the King of the Mountains. But Van Diemen is coming for him. This is for the points. They're going to count. Van Diemen is going to score big, but not as big as Safrazad. And this is the critical part for the stage win and for the team competition. Because we said at the start of the show, this turn over the top, the really a quick ascent and descent would be decisive. We've called it the crux, we've called it the fulcrum, you name it, there isn't a name we haven't said. This is critical. Van Diemen takes the fastest time up there. Safrazad crossed the line first, but Van Diemen closed the gap down and came through. So Van Diemen taking 5 points, Safrazad taking 4, Popovic taking 3, Martins taking 2, and Juan Hoyos proving he can climb as well as sprint. And that could be dangerous later on as we go up and over. Will he be able to repeat that on through? Let's see what's going to happen on our descent. Say Safrazad still with the lead. Mr. X100 chasing on. And remember, if you've seen it earlier, if you've been watching the rest of the stage, you will know that Mr. X100 has already chased on once before. He's having to ride to shore up the team after problems for Vink, and that means that on the descent here, the team category is being blown wide open. Now, Saeed Safrazad is leading. Safrazad for the Sticky Bun Club.
Yeah, so Safrazad is leading. He is 2 seconds clear of the chase group. Popovic, Hoyas, Van Diemen, Nair, Martins, and Knudsen are in there. A little bit further back, we've got Van Elst, Kaminsky, Noren, Cutler, and Mr. X100, which will be starting to sweep up the rest of the riders and start to work together to bring this back together. I think this is going to be a catch. Safrazad is going to see Hoyas, Nair, Popovic, and Martins. Knudsen is going to drop in there. Mr. X100, Cutler, Noren, Van Elston, Kaminsky, again, having lost 1 or 2 riders on that climb.
Well, going to see. We've not got far to go. The leader on the road now is Pim Van Diemen. He has pushed through. Oh, you just seen 7 watts per kilo as they came into that group. Now Knudsen goes over the top. So Michael Knudsen continues to keep that pace high. They don't want to let anybody back in. This is critical for the team timings. It's critical for the general classification. This isn't just for the stage win. This could be one of the decisive stages, and we are going to see, I think, 3 groups on the road as Mr. X100 closes down on group number 3. They're going to come together, but your race leader at the moment is right at the front. So here he comes. He's going to make this a bigger group number 3. He's going to join Van Elst, Noren Cutler. Mr. X100 will be in that group. Michael Knudsen at the moment is sat in here in the leading group. Zach Nair, Martin Martins, Pablo Popovic, Said Safrazaz. They are the riders who should, in theory, contest the finish alone, but never discount the chasing groups. We've got the sweep round to the left. We've got the run in to was the overpass where we sweep up on that steep section and then the run to the line.
Well,
this is going to be a frantic finish.
It is. We said that top part of Mount Pleasant would be decisive, and that transition between the climbing and the descent would really play a part in this race today, and it absolutely has. We can see here in this category 1 race that descent has absolutely split the pack apart. So that large group of riders that went into this race, of 21 riders went into this climb together, have now broken up and forming separate groups on the road.
So here we go, and we are on the run into towards this spiral turn. This is the steep section. We go over the top, and then it is a downhill run into the line. Vujassin leading them in and through. You just see Van Diemen going over the top here. So it's Pim Van Diemen going over the top. Safrazad moves on his right-hand shoulder. Knudsen comes through with no helmet on there. Very easy to distinguish, but Zach Nair is looking for a stage win here. He's on the front at 11.4 watts per kilo. This is going to be the run for the finish. This is going to be for the stage winning category 1, stage 2 of 7. Safrazad leads them in, but I think he's going to be swept aside because Juan Hoyos, a man who we know who can sprint, is on his way in towards the line, and Safrazad kicks again. Safrazad is not going to be content with Polkadot, but you've got Martins, Hoyos, and Knudsen lining it up. It all goes red. This is the run for the line, and look at the massive kick coming down the side. Safrazad holds on. He takes the win from Hoyos, Martins, Knudsen, and Van Diemen. Popovic comes through with Zach Nair. What a race for the line. Now remember, there's a massive chase going on behind as well. Everybody wants to keep the time gaps down, and this will be incredibly tight when we come into the team standings. Emma, take us through the results.
Yeah, so in first place side, Safrazad holds off Juan Hoyos in that sprint by 0.1 of a second. Knudsen takes 3, Martins takes 4, Van Diemen takes 5th, with Lionel Vujasin, Pablo Popovic, Zach Nair, SS, Vidal Mayer, and Lucas Zanaska rounding out the top 11.
Now, this is going to be really interesting when it comes to the team standings. We've just seen Christoph Thien come in and through, followed by Kaminski, Van Elst, Noren Cutler. With 17th place going to our Masters leader, and he's going to be confirmed to be holding that. That is Mr. X100. A quick reminder, team standings are calculated on the top 3 riders in each team coming through the line. That is going to be really, really critical when it comes to working out who, what, where, and when is leading the standings. Don't forget, of course, all the results. You can see the address down there, www.mywhoosh.com/results, and that will take you to the full results. Remember, at the moment, those results are live. They will transition across into being unofficial when the race finishes and our riders are all in, and then they have to be verified. So the riders are making their way in still across in many of our categories. Congratulations to all of our stage winners. We are going to be having a look back. Don't forget, catch up with all of the action on the YouTube channel in the men's and the women's competition. Jump onto mywhoosh.com to download the app and join the party on the app and riding on MyWhoosh. Emma, great racing today. Where can we catch up with you on social media?
Oh, you can find me at Biking Emma, and please do on Instagram. Get in touch. Let me know how you're going. Let me know how your legs are and how that hydration and recovery is mending you.
And let us know, of course, what you're up to, what your painkillers up to, what your race tactics are. It's been an absolute pleasure putting words to the action with Emma today. My name's Matt Payne. You can find me on social media. It is at Matt Fixer Payne. And when you're on there, make sure you tag in us on the pictures, and make sure, of course, that you include at MyWhoosh, because at MyWhoosh is where we are at. It's the home of the MyWhoosh Championship. Stage 2 complete. We're going to start getting ready for stage 3. I hope you will join Emma and myself and all of the team at MyWhoosh from us here in the commentary box in the studio. Stay safe. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.